they don't make them like they used to. You've heard that. Is it always true? Yes, I know. It depends on what you're talking about. Today I wanted to share with you a fountain pen that I picked up. I thought was a really good value. And after writing with it, I tend to agree wholeheartedly. Wanted to talk to you about, old pens, or how about the golden age of pens. Let's say in the 1950s, you got a company called Retro 1951. You'd think that they are going for the old look. Not necessarily. You know what they're going for is the old quality, I think. So Retro 1951, they have a good amount of pens that are out there in ballpoint as well as fountain pen. You may have heard the Andersons talk about that during their regular podcast, because they are a Retro 1951 distributor and one of the few major companies out there that are. I just happen to be a customer of theirs, as well as some other fine companies out there. So not to disrespect anybody else, they just happen to be ones that I do buy from time to time. And since they were a 1951 distributor, I purchased from them a Retro 1951 Tornado in cherry finish, or black cherry. It comes in a really cool container like this. Usually you're seeing a box. In this case, they've got a nice cylinder, cardboard cylinder, that they put your pen in. They say life's too short to carry an ugly pen. And you know what? They're right. Although I've got some right ugly pens that write very well, and I got some good looking pens that don't write so well. So it says that we make them like they used to, which is why I started out my show the way I did today. So the Tornado Retro 51. You may have seen a few other reviews of this particular pen, but you haven't seen this one. So I wanted to show you the pen that I chose, because the Retro 51 Tornado is available in several different finishes. Most of them are going to be metal with some kind of lacquer finish, whether it be the blue or the copper or the orange, and in black it's an acrylic, but I chose my favorite, and you can see it right there, black cherry. So let's go ahead and open it up. When you do open it up, you'll see inside there's an instruction booklet. Here you've got a little foam holder, and voila, c'est magnifique. Here is the black cherry pen. Personally, I like the blue one, and I like this one. These were my two favorites, and because I didn't have any pens in my collection that look like this, I went ahead and snatched this one up. Manufacturer's suggested retail price, $55 US. Street price that you're going to be able to get it from, $44. I am going to tell you right here and now, $44 is an excellent value for what you're getting in this particular pen. I do wish that other pen manufacturers would take note that you can produce a very good looking, excellent quality, and excellently finished and looking pen for $44. So let's get right to it. So up at the top on the finial, you've got the red kind of recessed, and you've got a little circle that it fits in. Up top here, I'll give you some close-up views, but just to show you what it looks like from a distance. But I've got a closer-up view that I'll share with you here in just a little bit. And of course, it says right up here, Retro 1951 Tornado is what it says, that branding right there. A clip, nothing special on this clip. You know, you got the kind of the bifurcated clip that comes down. It's fairly springy, or stiff, I guess, and it springs back really really hard. And then you've got the silver band. Looking down the barrel, you've got that gorgeous, I think absolutely gorgeous, black cherry finish. And then on the finial, it is pretty much a silver mirrored finish right there, as you can see. So you open it up, and you have the metal barrel, like I said, and it tapers down just a little bit towards the end. And then you've got the metal step down right here for your screw threads. And then you've got what feels like, although I'm not really sure if can't really tell, kind of a plastic section. And it's not slick, and it's not rough, but it is big enough for you to be able to hold and use. And it sits long enough in the hand not to have posted necessarily, and should you want to post it, it does post very securely. It's not coming off. However, that cap is fairly heavy and it does back weight that pen, so just keep that in mind, but it's still not too unwieldy. Personally, I like it without posting it, and it's got one nib choice. One. That's the one thing I will say about this. Fortunately, it was a nib that I would want anyway, and their nib is total Schmidt. It's a Schmidt brand nib, and it's only available in medium, at least through the website where I purchased, and I will give you some close-ups of that. Let me just show you what it looks like here before I give you some of those close-ups, and then I'll give you the closer-up version of that. This finish, like I said, highly polished to an absolute gorgeous finish. The nib is very smooth. Schmidt makes a very good nib. Now, people always talk about Bock and Jovo being the two big companies out there that make German-style nibs, and there are others as well. Schmidt, Nemesine are two of them, and there are a few other brands out there that I know are going to write well, because they're just not the only two nib companies out there. Schmidt, I think, every time I've used a Schmidt nib, it's actually been a very good, pleasant writing experience straight out of the box, and this pen was no exception. So, I really enjoy just the finish, just the tactile sensation of how smooth that lacquered coating really is on this pen, and the shine on it, the coloring. To me, I just absolutely love how this one turned out in my choice. I've seen some other folks who have chosen the Lincoln version, which I'm assuming they call it the Lincoln because it's a copper color, and Abraham Lincoln is on the penny, which is a copper colored coin, no longer 100% copper. So anyway, I just absolutely adore this pen. I use it quite a bit, and I color matched it to as best I could, well, at least in the same color family. And I'll show you here a writing sample in just a moment, as well as a size comparison, and I'll give you some of the dimensions here. But I just wanted to give you the cursory overview and let you know what it looks like and and tell you about how it feels in the hand. It's a substantive pen, since it is metal. First thing you pick it up, you go, okay, that's a little heft to it, which means to me, sometimes, not every time, that it's going to be quality. So let me show you some of the dimensions, and then we'll do a size comparison. I'll do a writing sample. We're going to keep this one fairly short, but great pen thus far, and I've been using this one a lot. Alright, wanted to do a little bit of size comparison, but if you remember one of my previous videos that I did, I kept this particular writing sample for a reason, because I knew that I was going to come up on doing this Retro 1951. Now, this is a size comparison with the Montegrappa Game of Thrones, the Westeros edition, and you can see that they're fairly comparable in size on these two particular pens. And it's got a little bit of similarity in that the cap style, you got the top, and then you've got a little bit of band here. But they're both metal and with a lacquer coating, and they both write very, very well. Of course, this one here is far more expensive than this one here, but that's what's so great about this particular pen. So at least I wanted to keep this out in this writing sample just to show you a little bit of that particular size comparison. So let's go ahead and remove that. Let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of this particular sheet of paper off of my Rhodia pad, and let's start afresh because I wanted to show you afresh with some other pens. So let's do a little bit of size comparison. There is your Retro 1951. Let's compare that. This was my pen of the day yesterday, which is the Mont Blanc 149, and that particular pen is getting really close to running out of ink. I can see in the ink window. Here is my pen of the day today, which is The Faber-Castell Loom, what I call my old reliable, because it's a smooth writer and it writes every time, first time, never fail. The day before that, I was actually using, I believe it was the day before that, I was using my TWSBI Eco as my pen of the day. And I pulled out a Conklin Durograph that I haven't been using or had inked up anytime recently, just for size comparison. Why haven't I had that inked up recently? Well, it ran out of ink, I flushed it, and I put it in a drawer, so I just haven't had it back in rotation for a while because I have too many pens inked up. And that's one of the things as much as I love this, I didn't when I first got it, but I got it writing well. I did the nib work on it myself and got it writing really, really well, really smoothly. But when this runs out of ink, I'll probably flush it and set it aside for a while and take it out of rotation, just because, like I said, I've got too many pens inked up. And fortunately, this one doesn't have too much more ink left in it, and I'll flush that one, and I'll leave that one out of rotation as well. Probably do the same thing with this one, even though I've got enough ink left in it. So anyway, Retro 1951, or just Retro 51 if you prefer, and the Tornado. So here we go. Retro 51 Tornado. Now, you saw that hard start just there. You know why? It's because I had it stored in this nib up and sitting on my desk for a couple of days with nib up. So that's why I had that slight hard start. But once it gets going, it's very smooth. This Schmidt nib works great. It is a medium nib, which was the only nib variety that was available. You can get some good line variation with it. Schmidt puts out an excellent nib. It writes great no matter what direction. So let's do a little curve. You hear a little bit of feedback on this Rhodia pad, but make no mistake, it writes great. How about the ink, you ask? Well, what I put into it was a Robert Oster Fire Engine Red, because it's, you know, a pretty red ink. And I hadn't tried it before, and I thought it would have gone well with this pen. So when I got this pen, I pulled out my sample of Robert Oster ink and went ahead and filled it. Let's check reverse writing. Still writes great in reverse. You get a very fine line. So I really enjoy this, and I do like this Robert Oster ink. So the Fire Engine Red. This pen is very smooth. The value that it provides is excellent. For $44 retail, this is an excellent writer. So if you're looking for a good solid pen, if you're looking for one that's going to be durable, reliable, write very smoothly, you can't go wrong.